What's up everyone, I'm Gyasi. I used to be a software engineer, but now I create tech and lifestyle videos full time. I started filming videos in my college apartment and now I get to travel the world testing the latest devices in real life settings. Today we're in Dubrovnik, walking the same city walls I once saw on Game of Thrones back in college. Never would have imagined I'd be here doing what I love and putting the OPPO Reno14 to the test in a place this cinematic. So today I woke up at 6 a.m. to a super clean lock screen, specifically the Tranquil Zen fingerprint unlock that ColorOS 15 has with the OPPO Reno14. Started off with 100% battery and I didn't get much sleep last night. But with a view like this, overlooking the Adriatic Sea in Dubrovnik, it's hard to get back to bed. I made some tea, checked my emails since I'm 6 to 9 hours ahead of the US, and I've really been loving this 6.59-inch OLED display. The deep blacks in dark mode, the smooth 120Hz refresh rate, and the 3840Hz PW dimming, it all just feels right in this quiet morning light. Our hotel has some amazing access to the sea, and with a bit of downtime after meeting with the OPPO team, I figured this would be the perfect time to grab some photos and videos of this incredibly crystal clear Mediterranean water. Even though the lighting was harsh, I think the Reno14 did an excellent job capturing what I'm seeing from my own eyes. Different hues of blue in the ocean, subtle shadowing in the water, and the texture of the rocks. The colors felt true to life and not overly processed. I especially love the way the water shimmered. It has this bright, reflective quality without getting too artificial looking, though in some shots I did notice it leaned slightly into that HDR look, but I did notice that the sky fades beautifully toward the horizon, making this really nice blue gradient. However, when I zoomed in on this boat passing by, I did catch a bit of frame jumping and some flickering in the sky. Maybe that's just because of the extreme lighting, but I'll be sure to keep an eye out for that for the rest of today's shoot. The pictures I snapped of the rocks during the swim session came out super sharp, almost stock photo level. What makes this part of the beach so cool to shoot is the contrast. You've got these massive boulders in the foreground with the sea stretching out behind them. It creates this super cinematic shot without even needing to do anything in post.
Taking a little bit of a break, testing some of the AI features with the OPPO Reno14 for this day in the life, and putting some of the camera features to the test, especially in this terribly overexposed, harsh lighting. But before we do that, I actually have to show you guys this POV of the hotel site. It's absolutely stunning. These rocks that look like they're 1,000,000 years old surrounding this part of the hotel right off the main swimming area. And since we have a little bit of a break in between lunch and going to Old Town to walk the Old Town walls where they shot Game of Thrones, which I'm so excited about. I love Game of Thrones. I've always wanted to come to Croatia. It's like 90 degrees out here, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump in the water and take advantage of this insane scenic view of Dubrovnik and the Adriatic Sea.
So I've been excited and anticipating heading into Old Town to see these city walls in Dubrovnik and of course test out the OPPO Reno14 against the iPhone 16. But I want you guys to keep in mind that in this video, it isn't just about photo quality. After using the OPPO Reno14 these past few weeks, it's a great device for planning, capturing, and staying organized as well with some amazing AI tools. I use the Commute to open up my mind space, which is a smart AI tool in ColorOS 15 that acts as my digital notebook. With just a 3-finger swipe, I can save anything on my screen and come back to it, just like I'm doing right now, looking at dinner cruises for our trip to Paris. We just made it to Dubrovnik's Old Town. It honestly feels like something out of a movie. These streets, the walls, the water, it's surreal. I still remember being in college, binge watching Game of Thrones like pretty much everyone else I knew, dreaming of being a YouTuber. Coming from a small town, I never thought I'd end up here, doing this for real, creating traveling and sharing wonderful moments like this. So looking at these shots side by side, both phones do a great job, but in different ways. The Reno14 handles the sky beautifully with a natural gradient that feels closer to what I actually saw. The iPhone keeps things richer and more saturated, especially in the blues and greens. Now for this scene with the kayak, the OPPO really shines. The ripples are incredibly detailed, and the way the sunlight hits the rocks beneath the surface, it gives this almost mirrorless camera feel. It looks extremely cinematic, but also very real at the same time. In the second set with the kayak, the iPhone actually brings a lot of clarity and contrast. The reds are popping in the kayak, and the image has a sharper edge overall. But the OPPO Reno14 softer processing makes the photo feel more organic, almost like it was shot on something with a larger sensor, while the iPhone looks more ready for social media. So it depends. Do you want a punchier, crispy look, or something that feels more natural and filmic? Once we made it to the city walls in Dubrovnik, I kept switching between the Reno14 and the iPhone 16 to see how each handle this extreme light, texture, and the details of the old town. Starting with the ultra wide, which is easily one of my favorite focal lengths, both phones stayed pretty consistent with their main camera profiles. The iPhone definitely shines here with the ultra wide camera with a very sharp look, deeper blacks, and a bit more saturation. The Reno14 is softer, more natural, with this beautiful sun ray poking into frame. Personally, I prefer the vibrance of the iPhone 16 ultra wide here, but let's keep testing. I think the iPhone edges it out for me for the rooftop and the ultra wide shots. The punchier contrast and crisp detail kind of match my personal style for social media. But when it comes to selfies, the Reno14 actually pulled in more light, reduced shadows on my face, and gave the photo a more vibrant, airy feel. The iPhone looked a bit more toned and realistic, so I'd call this one a draw, but depends on what you prefer.
All right, so what I've been noticing using the OPPO Reno14 is I really like how smooth the zoom is and that there is a dedicated telephoto lens. I just wish the ultra wide was a bit higher quality because I like to do those ultra wide POV shots to kind of set the scene and give you guys a good perspective of my environment. So we are walking the walls of Old Town, and I didn't know that within the old city there are homes that people are living in, because you can literally see them in their like Juliet balconies. But these orange roofs, big fan of. It's just crazy, this perspective to see like the top of the tower. We're almost eye level with the church, the rooftop, and we got the ocean to the left of me, and people cliff diving. I wish I brought my trunks because I definitely would have been down for that.
Throughout the day, I also took a bunch of additional photos and videos, and the Reno14 had a few standout moments. Using the telephoto lens to capture this cat mid-groom with surprising clarity, and a few of my favorite shots from this trip, like this small village home tucked inside the city walls, in this wide-angle perspective of Old Town. So after a few light edits, both photos were ready for social media, and I think that's where the Reno14 really impresses me. And even the unedited shots, they're super easy to work with. I didn't notice any loss of quality when adjusting light and color, which I think speaks to how capable that 50 megapixel sensor really is. The OPPO shots might look a little more flat out of the box, but if you like editing or want that more mirrorless style base to work with, the Reno14 is a legit contender to the iPhone 16. The Reno14's high megapixel sensor gave me way more control in post. I was able to boost color, adjust shadows, and even crop in without losing detail. The files held up beautifully, no noise or softness. When comparing it to the iPhone, which gives you already a strong baked-in look, the Reno14 feels a bit more flexible. Since it's flatter and has a more filmic base, it gave me room to edit and really be able to get as close as I could to how the iPhone's photos come out by default. Or if you want, create a completely different vibe.
Look at that, that's crazy. Feeling good?
Yeah, boy.
King's Landing with the squad.
Tudo que restou dessa fantasia foi sentimento e a fotografia. Tudo que ficou foi uma poesia e o eterno amor dessa alma vazia.
What I said.
Man, this feels like paradise. I don't know what mountain we took the cable car to, so I figured why not use the Gemini system level integration to figure out how fast I could figure out where I'm at. Hey Google, based on my location, do you know what mountaintop I'm on? I took a cable car from Dubrovnik Old Town. All right, it says that we are on Mount Sura Hill or something, also known as Surd Hill, the Adriatic Sea and the surrounding islands.
Where I think the Reno14 really stands out is the triple flash lens. That's a perfect complement for sunset photography, especially on mountainsides like we're on today, overlooking the old city. The triple lens not only brightens a subject, but I love the natural look that comes out of the photos, opposed to that overly yellow, saturated look most flash photos give off. It took a few minutes for me to get the right exposure and look I was going for. After making some quick edits in Lightroom, I got an amazing shot of the OPPO models with a backdrop of Dubrovnik from the mountainside. In the portraits I shot during this trip, skin tones were spot on. The shadows had depth and the bokeh looked natural, not overly blurred or artificial. These are some of my favorite shots from the trip. The battery life on the Reno14 is actually so good, you can easily go a full day without needing to charge. Plus, it has a few battery saving modes, notably the super power saving mode that gives you about an additional 20 minutes of power compared to the standard balance mode where you can choose up to 6 apps you like to access. Just to do a quick battery life check, at 4:30 p.m. we have 57% of battery after using the phone since 6 a.m. We ended the day with 12% battery life at 11 p.m. From the beaches to the city walls of Dubrovnik, the Reno14 really impressed me, and not just with the camera, but the overall experience. The ColorOS features like Mindspace added a fun, thoughtful layer to the phone, and the battery life lasted me comfortably through a full day of shooting. The display is vibrant, smooth, and bright, and that dedicated telephoto lens lets me capture moments from far without losing detail. I do wish zooming between lenses was a bit smoother, but honestly, for a $500 phone, being able to go up against an iPhone 16 at a price point of $800, I really can't complain. When looking at it from that perspective, and if you're interested in veering into the Android world, coming from a model like an iPhone 16, I do think this could be a solid option, especially at that $500 price point. Thanks again for OPPO for sponsoring this video and for bringing me along on this insane trip to Croatia. Let me know which shots you'd post, and if you want to see more day in a life content like this, hit the like button, drop a comment, and I'll see you guys soon. Stay blessed. Peace.